If emergency crews in hazmat suits show up next door, don't bother asking if their visit is Ebola related. They can't tell you. But why? 8 on your side, senior investigative reporter Steve Andrews is now live outside the Florida Department of Health in Hillsborough County. And what can you tell us tonight, Steve?
Well, good evening, Josh. I can tell you, don't bother asking the health department about Ebola. Local offices like this are now out of the information dissemination loop. In order to prevent panic, only the state's Joint Information Center will issue Ebola updates. But it didn't do such a great job relieving anyone's anxiety yesterday.
Thursday morning, 9:40, the University of South Florida, a hazardous materials incident. Less than an hour later, 10:29, Tampa Fire Rescue releases information. It's a chlorine leak. It's contained. Life goes on. In Largo, a much different scenario. At 12:30, an ambulance transports a patient to the fire training facility. Workers in hazmat suits enter this yellow tented area. As they exit, they are quite obviously decontaminated. Neighbors gather. There is no explanation.
It would be nice to know something.
Hours pass. Neighbors, as well as the media, kept in the dark.
That it could be Ebola and that they're not going to let us know.
Largo Fire referred questions to the health department. The health department's Maggie Hill deferred questions to the state's Joint Information Center. It, and it alone, will provide information about Ebola in Florida. But 8 on your side has learned Hill knew by early afternoon this was an Ebola false alarm. Yet she could still not release the information.
You knew that there was no problem out there. Couldn't that have been relayed to the media?
Well, I didn't know what they were staging. Again, all I know is I'm told there's nothing to it.
Whose responsibility is it to get the word to the neighbors that it's okay?
That would depend on who the lead agency is on an issue like that.
Largo Fire was the lead agency, but for 5 hours, no one provided neighbors with any information.
Now, the Joint Information Center is generally activated during hurricanes, times of emergency, or in the case of Ebola, when there's a potential statewide threat to health and public safety. Josh, the explanation for the nearly 5-hour delay in getting the information out about what happened in Largo, according to the JIC, it says it'll sacrifice speed for accuracy. Josh.
All right, Steve Andrews, thank you very much for that live report from Hillsborough County tonight.
Sarasota Memorial Hospital has set up a special isolation ward to treat any potential Ebola patients. Today, Congressman Vern Buchanan toured the hospital to see how prepared they are. Buchanan favors a travel ban to the affected nations in Africa to prevent the spread of the disease.
I think, in general, this thing has evolved a little bit. People need to be concerned, but not to a point where anybody's paralyzed or anything. But we also have to be prepared if this thing gets beyond a few people.
Hospital officials showed Buchanan equipment that will completely cover any staff that has to deal with an Ebola patient, and everyone is paying attention to the evolving guidelines so they can update their staff.